Mabel was born on a humid afternoon in Ibadan, Nigeria. Her mother, Adela, had labored for hours under the watchful eyes of midwives who whispered ancient Yoruba lullabies into the wind. From her first cries, Mabel's beauty was evident. Her skin glowed like polished mahogany, and her large brown eyes reflected a fierce independence. When she was just a girl, her family moved to London, chasing the dream of better opportunities. In the bustling city, Mabel learned how to stand out, how to carry herself with pride and disregard the narrow expectations others placed upon her. She didn't realize it then, but she was laying the foundation for a life that would challenge tradition. Mabel's teenage years were marked by admiration and envy from her peers. Boys clamored for her attention. Girls tried to mimic her style. Yet she seemed indifferent to the idea of marriage or even steady companionship. While other Yoruba families in London encouraged their daughters to value the sanctity of union, Mabel's eyes were set elsewhere. At home, her mother and father urged her to consider a proper suitor, someone who could provide stability and respectability. Mabel would roll her eyes and laugh, confident that the world offered more than the confines of matrimony. This defiance, once mild, was growing stronger by the day. In university, Mabel found herself at the center of many social circles. She was the friend who never turned down a party, the woman who danced without inhibition, the young lady who flirted and teased but never promised anything in return. Men fell in love with her laughter and the subtle tilt of her chin. Yet when they proposed a future, she always declined. Some whispered that she was too proud. Others said she was afraid of losing her independence. In truth, Mabel simply found no appeal in being tethered to one man, one home, one set of rules. She saw marriage as a cage. If decorated in gold, still a cage. When Mabel finished her studies, she ventured into a modest career in fashion retail. She quickly impressed her employers with her impeccable taste and the way she made customers feel elegant and seen. As her paycheck grew, so did the chorus of suitors. Yet she remained elusive, forever slipping through a man's fingers just when he thought he had her heart. Her Yoruba community in London whispered about her. Many older aunties shook their heads and prayed for her to find a suitable husband. But Mabel shrugged off their concern. She was too busy living, enjoying, and asserting her will. The world was large and full of thrills she didn't intend to miss. By her late 20s, Mabel had begun a pattern she would continue throughout her life, indulging in short, passionate affairs that never lasted. She would share laughter and warmth with a man, appreciate his company, and then, bored or disillusioned, move on. It was during this era she had her first daughter, Yejide, with a quiet Nigerian man named Depo who had loved her desperately. Mabel did not regret motherhood. She adored Yejide's tiny hands and the way her baby's cries sounded like a gentle song. But even motherhood didn't make her settle. She simply parted ways with Depo when they grew tense and impatient with each other's expectations. As the years passed, Mabel expanded her family in a most untraditional way. She had 6 daughters, each from a different father. There was Yejide, then Ebony, Simi, Folake, Funmi, and Teo. Each girl had a different complexion, a different laugh, a distinct father who had tried, in vain, to keep Mabel close. Her daughters grew up in a London flat filled with music, laughter, and no talk of marriage. Mabel taught them about fashion, independence, and how to read a room. She encouraged them to be strong and never to rely on a man. The girls absorbed these lessons as naturally as breathing. Yoruba elders often say that a family's foundation is laid by the mother's values. In Mabel's household, the value of matrimony was conspicuously absent. When the girls asked about marriage, Mabel would scoff and say, "I can't stay married to any man." To her, stability meant confinement. She felt triumphant that none of her daughters seemed keen to wed. They dabbled in relationships, learned to protect themselves from heartbreak, and approached love with a casual skepticism. Mabel believed she was setting them free from the chains that women had worn for centuries.